All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something a little bit tough. We are putting all those raw emotions aside to logically investigate a moment that literally stopped an entire nation. We're looking at how India's 2023 World Cup dream was shattered. It's a story of incredible highs and, well, a deeply analytical final low. 10. That's the magic number. 10 matches played, 10 absolute comprehensive victories. Not a single defeat. You know, to really grasp the heartbreak of the final, we first have to take a second to establish just how unbelievably dominant this Indian team was. I mean, they didn't just scrape by. They completely steamrolled through traditional powerhouses like England, Pakistan, South Africa, and New Zealand. They looked completely invincible.
And that sheer dominance, it created this incredibly powerful collective sentiment across 1.3 billion fans. The chant was literally everywhere. Is bar World Cup gar aa raha hai. This time the World Cup is coming home. The hype was absolutely astronomical. But then, fast forward to November 19th at the massive Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad, that deafening roar of anticipation was suddenly replaced by a crushing pin-drop silence just 8 hours later.
So, that brings us to the ultimate question we're tackling today. 10 matches, 10 wins. How on earth did India actually lose? Was it just terrible luck with the toss? Did the pitch completely change its character? Or was this just an absolute tactical masterstroke by the Australians? We are going to break down the cold, hard logic behind the defeat. Let's start with Chapter 1, the perfect tournament. Think back to the lead-up. Going into the final, this Indian team looked completely unstoppable. You had Rohit Sharma completely changing the team's approach with these fearless attacking starts in the first 10 overs. Virat Kohli was acting as the ultimate anchor, scoring the most runs in the tournament under immense pressure. Shreyas Iyer was out there just destroying spinners in the middle overs, backed up perfectly by KL Rahul's rock-solid stability. And the bowling? Come on, Bumrah and Shami were delivering impossible spells. I mean, Shami became the top wicket taker after playing just a handful of matches. Add Kuldeep Yadav's middle over magic into the mix, and you literally had a team with 0 weak links. Moving on to Chapter 2, Australia's master plan. Picture the toss. When Pat Cummins chose to bowl, the immediate public reaction was pure disbelief. People were thinking, no way, it is a massive mistake to bowl first in a high-pressure final. But honestly, the tactical logic was completely sound. Australia had a flawless read of the pitch conditions in Ahmedabad. They knew the pitch would be incredibly slow and sluggish during the heat of the day, making shot-making really difficult. But as night fell, the dew would set in, the ball would start skidding on, and batting would become significantly easier. But here's the thing. Australia's true masterstroke wasn't just bowling first. It's what they did out in the field. They essentially said, singles roke DA. They executed this suffocating field placement strategy designed entirely around cutting off every single easy run. Every fielder was in the exact right position. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't even about taking quick wickets. They were intentionally trying to break India's batting rhythm. They stopped absolute masters of strike rotation like Virat and Rahul from simply tapping the ball and running. And man, the pressure just built with every single dot ball. Which brings us to Chapter 3, the turning point. Okay, so the match starts, and right away, Rohit Sharma is doing what he's done all tournament, just an explosive 30-ball attack that immediately put the Aussie bowlers on the back foot. It really looked like India was cruising toward a 300-plus score. But then came Glenn Maxwell's delivery and a phenomenal, absolutely crucial catch. Rohit was out, and from that exact moment, this kind of defensive paralysis set in. As Kohli and Rahul tried to rebuild, that tight fielding we just talked about created a sudden, agonizing boundary drought. There was this huge stretch of overs where India couldn't find the fence even once. And in a World Cup final, that lack of boundary release is just suffocating. Chapter 4, Target 240. 240 runs. Now, let's be real for a second. In a normal ODI on a tricky pitch, you might look at 240 and call it a solid fighting total. But we really have to ask ourselves, is 240 ever truly enough in a high-pressure World Cup final against a powerhouse like Australia? The historical data and just the overall context of the match strongly suggested it was dangerously light. And the reason that total felt so deflating really comes down to the final 15 overs. Normally, this is the exact moment where the Indian team accelerates and completely takes the game away from the opposition. But there were no big shots. There was absolutely no finishing flourish. The death overs were completely and utterly controlled by Australia. Because India couldn't accelerate, the Australian dressing room literally walked off the field at the innings break with total, absolute belief that this chase was entirely possible. Chapter 5. Travis Head's Historic Innings. Now, the second innings kicked off with immense hope. India quickly had Australia reeling at 47 for 3, and the stadium was electric. But then the dual approaches of these two batters snatched the match entirely away. On one end, you had Travis Head. He didn't panic at all. He combined extreme patience with this ruthless aggression, punishing any loose balls while totally respecting the good ones. And on the other side, Marnus Labuschagne played the perfect anchor. He essentially locked up his end and simply refused to give his wicket away. As the dew set in and batting got easier, exactly like Australia predicted at the toss, this partnership slowly, systematically dismantled India's defense. Head's century wasn't just a great knock, it was hands down one of the greatest innings in World Cup final history. And finally, Chapter 6, the final verdict. So, looking back, why did the dominant Indian team lose? Well, the cold hard facts are that Australia simply outperformed India in every single department on that specific day. They had better tactical planning with the toss and pitch read. They deployed superior, totally suffocating fielding to choke the singles. They executed their bowling strategy flawlessly in the death overs. And honestly, perhaps most importantly, they displayed a masterful handling of extreme pressure when they were down 47 for 3. You know, it highlights the absolute cruelest reality of tournament cricket. You could win 10 matches. You can literally be the most dominant team in recent history. But if you lose that 11th match, the trophy belongs to someone else. Finals just aren't won by relying on past records or tournament form. They are won by handling the immense pressure of that specific day. And on November 19th, Australia simply did it better. Now, despite the heartbreak at the finish line, this 2023 Indian team played incredible cricket that we are definitely always going to remember. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn it over to you. Aapke hisab se sabse badi galti kya thi? What do you think was the absolute biggest mistake? Was it losing the toss? Was it India's defensive batting approach in the middle overs? Or was Australia's strategy just too good to beat? Think about it, because in professional sports, the margins between eternal glory and crushing defeat are razor thin. Thank you so much for joining me today to explore the logic behind the game.